All right, let's get started. It is 2 after 10:30 here, and welcome to the Amazon monthly briefing from Edge by Ascential. My name is Jack O'Leary. I'm a senior analyst here on the retail insights team at Edge by Ascential, leading some of our research on Amazon, pure plays, and all things e-commerce. Thank you for joining our monthly webcast, where we recap the recent developments and top headlines from the last month occurring with Amazon, one of the world's most relevant retailers, while also diving deep into one specific tactic related to the retailer here. A few pieces of housekeeping. The webcast recording, as well as the PowerPoint deck I'll be presenting for you today, will be available after the call via distribution email. Also, if you have any questions during the call, please use the Q&A tool available through GoToWebinar. You can ask me any questions there, and I will leave some time at the end to answer those questions that you might have. With that, I hope you do bear with me for just another minute. I wanted to plug what I think is some of our great non-virtual events where you can actually meet with us in person on the topic of Amazon and more broadly other e-commerce topics as well. Two updates from us. First, we're pleased to announce our eHackathon Seattle on September 24th is open for registration. This is an exclusive full-day Amazon US-centric summit overflowing with amazing content, including brand case studies, our latest perspective on Amazon, and of course, my favorite part of the day, the Hack Shop Masterclass sessions. We have double early bird offer of 20% off normal early bird pricing. That ends June 23rd. You can either reach out to your Edge partners or register directly via our website where it's listed under the events tab. Secondly, for all of our European leaders, we would like to invite you to our next eHackathon London, occurring on October 22nd and 23rd. The 22nd is an exclusive full-day Amazon-centric masterclass summit for accelerating your Amazon business. And then the 23rd is an omnichannel-centric full-day masterclass summit, which is focused on winning and mastering the digital shelf across the key European retailers. Double early bird registration is open for that as well and ends July 31st. And again, as with the other event, please reach out to Edge partners or register directly on our website for one of these events. They're some of my favorite things that we do, and it's great to meet with everyone in person and really have some key learnings about Amazon and e-commerce more broadly. So for those of you who are maybe attending the Amazon monthly briefing for the first time, they're generally formatted in this way, separated into two parts where we recap the top headlines with our key implications and insights around what it means coming from Amazon, the world's probably most relevant in many markets e-commerce business. And then this month, our deep dive topic, I'm going to do a briefing on Amazon's brick and mortar strategy, the various formats Amazon's launching, acquisitions and test formats, and what it really means for those of us on the line who are operating supplier businesses and looking to optimize for Amazon in the offline world and really drive some of those omni-channel strategies. But first, let's look at the recent developments from the past month of May and since the last time we spoke in late April. When we last spoke, it was actually the day of Amazon's Q1 2019 earnings. And the big highlights here is there is some slowing top line growth from Amazon. They are looking to accelerate their business as they reach some just difficulties with scale, I would say, in terms of just the volume of retail sales dollars moving in the United States, their home market. I think they're going to increasingly emphasize abroad, including Prime member acquisition and new market launches to really reignite new and higher top line sales growth back into the 20s that we're somewhat accustomed to. But I think also a key takeaway is, as I kind of keep reiterating on our monthly calls, Amazon as a maturing and growing kind of total business is increasingly reaching that inflection point of maturity. They reported again another record-breaking quarter of global operating income of 4.4%. That's 132% year-on-year growth from the previous quarter last year. I think more relevant to us looking at Amazon and working with Amazon as a retailer and focused on how Amazon is relevant to our shopper is the key announcement that came actually out of the earnings call portion of the evening, where Amazon announced that they wanted to make one-day shipping ubiquitous to Prime with no minimum order threshold. Previously, one-day shipping, oftentimes you had to be over a $35 threshold. Now, one-day shipping and same-day shipping is available in a pretty wide part of the country. A recent study by RBC Capital Markets indicated that somewhere in the 70s of US consumers, mostly in urban areas around the coast, actually already do have access to this program. But the idea here is that Amazon is raising the ante and looking to make one-day and same-day shipping as ubiquitous, available for as many items, and widespread geographically as two-day shipping is for us today. This is simply a result of the running arms race that we've seen over the years with other retailers rising to match Amazon with their delivery speeds. Walmart also announced aspirations to move to this one-day shipping speed area. I think what this means for our supplier partners on the line is that Amazon is going to be increasingly emphasizing the efficiency of their fulfillment centers, looking to have the most productive inventory sitting on the shelves there. They do continue to invest in ad square footage, but nevertheless, the efficiency and that at which items are moving through those fulfillment centers is going to be really, really critical. So everything from the packaging requirements, they continue to push back on suppliers, things like frustration free and ship in own container, all the way to the types of items you're choosing to list with Amazon.com and the types of sales volume and turnover those get. Just expect increased emphasis there. Actually, a late breaking story, or early breaking story, I should say, yesterday was, again, some further developments around what's going on with Vendor Central and this vendor blackout concept. Some of you may remember that in early March, there was basically surprise news when many smaller 1P vendors, those which have a traditional kind of retailer supplier relationship with Amazon, did not receive purchase orders in the first week of March without explanation. This so-called vendor blackout really shook up the industry. A story emerged yesterday from Bloomberg saying that Amazon is poised to unleash a long-feared purge of small suppliers, basically taking that news from early March and indicating that it's going to be happening at even larger scale going forward. Interestingly enough, senior leadership from Amazon itself is being very outward and vocal denying these claims, saying that they evaluate vendor Amazon relationships on an ongoing basis, and it is at their discretion to basically decide not to continue working with a particular vendor and encourage them to move over to the 3P seller side of the business. And basically, a lot of us are left wondering, is a full large seller or supplier purge coming in full to the kind of smaller suppliers on Amazon.com, or is it going to be business as usual going forward? I think really the takeaway here is that it's important to take your presence on Amazon into your own hands and be prepared for any eventuality, especially if you meet a few criteria that seem to be a similar characteristic of those vendors that Amazon seems to be shutting off. Some of the criteria we've seen in the Bloomberg article was a sales volume threshold of 10 million per year. I don't think there's a hard line in the sand in terms of what the cutoff is one way or the other. I think it's the combination of a variety of criteria that are really correlated, I think. The profitability of your individual items. Obviously, some categories are more lucrative for Amazon to sell because of shipping rates, things of that sort. As Amazon increasingly is seeing higher sales volume and looking to drive more profits, the more profitable the items can be, the more likely they'd be more interested in keeping it in a 1P supplier relationship. Additionally, IP ownership. It seems like distributors are more focused on in terms of this 1P blackout here that we're seeing. Amazon, as they increasingly face scrutiny and concerns around trademark infringement on their website and are offering programs to crack down on that, are looking to emphasize the trademark owners in their 1P side, as it is a lower risk relationship for them if they're operating with them, and then policing potential infringers on the 3P side. Category importance that you are playing in, if Amazon sees it as a key category of emphasis because of shopper awareness, so that shopper experience is important, or in terms of growth, it's maybe a new category, maybe like perishables, grocery, for example. Amazon is probably more likely to keep that in the more controlled 1P relationship. The category dynamics, if you're the top brand in the category, if you are the high viewership and high search term Amazon is also likely for that shopper experience to keep you in that area. And then also, your vendor manager dynamics and your investment levels. Basically, the larger brands with the higher sales volume in most cases are viewed by Amazon as the more likely to spend more money on things like advertising, investment, co-investment in Amazon programs, things like Prime Now, further extension of grocery. You're a more lucrative and more important partner for Amazon on the 1P side, so therefore more likely to be maintained. I think the key takeaway here from a high level is that a lot of these things are correlated. The larger vendors just tend to have more of these features of their business model and are therefore more likely safe from any sort of vendor purge. But for the smaller players out there, I think there is, and even for larger players, I think there is at least this news is encouraging to think about building out 3P selling capabilities just in case Amazon makes vast shifts to their business with you going forward. In other news from Amazon in the health and wellness space, PillPack acquired by Amazon last year, a really convenient prescription drug distributor in the United States that packages up your prescriptions and vitamins on a daily basis, making it really intuitive and easy to open, is getting promoted at a way higher degree on the Amazon platform. They sent out an email ad campaign for PillPack to their Prime customers, their real key customer segment. So it seems like PillPack and its extension into Amazon.com is continuing. If you're a health and wellness oriented manufacturer, expect to see more PillPack integrations on the .com marketplace going forward. And what opportunities in terms of programs, advertising on PillPack related search terms, and what have you are available is still unclear, but I think it is something to be prepared for as PillPack seems to be increasingly successful and more integrated with Amazon.com. In another category, looking in the world of pet here, popular pet subscription box BarkBox, which has sold a limited assortment on Amazon.com for a while, is actually more full-fledged, moving their relationship upwards and escalating on Amazon. They're now launching a variety of different subscription boxes at different dollar amounts available from the Amazon.com interface. I think this is a testament to the power of Amazon in terms of shopper viewership and their power in an individual category, that a player like BarkBox, which really was an innovator in the D2C space around pet, is looking to attack and acquire some of the Amazon shoppers for their subscription boxes. The viewership levels are just too lucrative to consider being elsewhere, and so it's interesting to see this occur. We'll be interested to see if Amazon is successful at attracting other more independent online business models out there, those D2C startups. They are brands that are really desirable to today's shopper, but to this point, they've been reluctant to go on Amazon.com as it's viewed as a key competitor, one that negotiates is difficult to negotiate with and can have a whole number of difficult effects on your business model, but does have the positive effect of extremely high viewership of shoppers with high purchase intent. In other news from Amazon as kind of a service provider platform, and this is, I think, a key initiative for Amazon going forward, Amazon further integrates different arms of its technology and innovation together. Merchants out there that are using Amazon Pay, either on Amazon or off, are now going to be able to have an Alexa integration there. So basically, shoppers who opt to use Amazon Pay using their Amazon signed in information to make a purchase somewhere will be able to check on that order's status using their Alexa devices, much like shoppers who are just shopping on the Amazon marketplace currently do. I think this is just demonstrating Amazon as being more than just a retailer. I know this is increasingly obvious to many people out there, given the variety of different business models and industry verticals Amazon is in. But I think in areas that are really directly related to retail and could potentially be considered competitive, it is interesting to see Amazon still offer up their various technologies, even if they're for purchases that are off platform. Amazon is truly trying to make a data play here. They're truly trying to make Amazon Pay more desirable for shopper usage and for merchant adoption, really acquiring and understanding that shopper data and taking a commission on all those sales which is more lucrative and economically profitable for them than, say, their 1P online business. So Amazon, as this kind of retail as a service platform, is only going to continue to extend. It'll be interesting to see if other, members of the retail value chain, the retail sphere, competitive landscape, what their decisions they make in terms of partnering or not with some of these technologies, as Amazon is such a concerning competitive threat to them. Moving abroad, there's been some really interesting shifts in the past month in the Middle East, two of which I wanted to report on here. Souq, which was acquired by Amazon, has officially been rebranded as expected to Amazon.ae, an Amazon branded platform. Souq was really the preeminent and dominant e-commerce marketplace in the Middle East, but it didn't seem to fit really the Amazon model to not be pushing forward that Amazon brand. So sure enough, the rebrand has happened. They're going to use the Souq infrastructure and existing shopper presence, but they're now redirecting shoppers over to Amazon.ae, just looking to extend that Amazon brand around the world. And then looking into Israel, a market that we've been speculating on for a while now in terms of, are they going to launch a local marketplace there or not, has extended some new services there, although not ones that are really indicating a Amazon Israel marketplace opening up anytime soon. To this stage, shoppers in Israel have been able to receive cross-border orders from the various, Amazon sellers around the world using the Amazon international platforms and getting them shipped to Israel. Usually, delivery had to be over a certain threshold for it to be even kind of considered affordable. But now Israeli sellers will be able to service some shoppers with a program known as Fulfillment by Merchant, not to be confused by Fulfillment by Amazon. Fulfillment by Merchant basically means that sellers in Israel who are able to handle, packing and delivering items to shoppers' doorsteps up to Amazon's kind of expectations can now be listed on the Amazon platform and directly linked in and potentially winning the buy box with Israeli-based shoppers. So this is just an extension of a bigger Israeli ecosystem, but given that Amazon does not have a fulfillment center in Israel, it seems like a specific country and marketplace is still a long ways off, although they are looking to extend the assortment to the shoppers there. Also looking abroad, but to Asia this time, we've seen some interesting news out of China. I reported, or we talked about a little bit last month, how Amazon China has decided to pull out of the market. Alibaba and JD have too much of a stranglehold. Some of the emerging platforms are attacking from the bottom, the likes of Pinduoduo, Kohl, and others. But Amazon is not giving up on China, even though they are not going to continue to have a local Chinese marketplace platform. They're looking to tap into the extensive local Chinese seller base and allow those sellers, small businesses, to have greater access through the Amazon infrastructure to global consumers around the world. Amazon Global Selling is an initiative from Amazon where they're trying to facilitate seamless cross-border trade at the fastest rates possible, really connecting global shoppers with global sellers, extending the assortment for everyone, which is just a key part of the Amazon business model, basically making the prices super competitive and the shopping experience all the more better. So with this program, they partnered with a local lending service and are now looking to advertise themselves as a lender to these small business models to help them get off the ground floor and engage with programs like Amazon Global Selling and selling to shoppers based in the United States or Europe, for example. So they're looking to, despite kind of giving up on their local marketplace business in China, help these Chinese sellers go after their global shopper base, one that's very lucrative and intriguing to sellers, I should say, in some of these local markets. A similar trend is also occurring in India right now. We got some information reported by the Indian local press that Amazon figures in terms of exports are going through the roof. It was reported that in 2018, there has been over 1 billion in exports from Indian sellers via Amazon Global Shopping to shoppers around the world. In terms of the local sellers in India participating, Amazon's seeing 3P sellers there participating at a 56% rate, and the projection is Amazon India sellers to hit 5 billion in exports around the world by 2023. For those of you on the line familiar with India, you do know that India has somewhat restrictive foreign direct investment laws, basically making it so Amazon can't operate a 1P retail business hybrid marketplace like they do around the rest of the world, in Europe and in the United States, for example. So they're somewhat limited in what they can do there. They also faced shifting restrictions earlier this year in terms of their relationships with top sellers on the marketplace platform. So they're looking to monetize Amazon India and the massive economic potential of the country in different ways, one of which is connecting the local seller base to shoppers around the world. I think this is one of the top headlines from the past month, was Amazon being the lead investor on a large funding round for a extremely fast expanding delivery platform, food aggregator as we like to call them, Deliveroo. Deliveroo was in talks supposedly recently to be potentially acquired by Uber Eats. Talks fell apart there. Amazon Restaurants has had a notoriously difficult competitive experience competing against some of the other food aggregators, the Grubhubs and Uber Eats specifically around the world, which have expanded more rapidly. Specifically, Amazon Restaurants had a very difficult time in the UK and actually withdrew their business from there. So they're gaining a much greater presence through investment in Deliveroo there. It'll be interesting to see what this investment really means. Amazon oftentimes does look to acquire companies that they invest in. Granted, this investment is a significant amount, it looks like, and Deliveroo is a really, really large food aggregator. Amazon's looking to enter the restaurant delivery vertical, one, because in terms of consumer trends, food aggregators and just consumer preference is leading to more shoppers doing more impulsive food buying decisions. In the United States, actually, it was reported last month, according to one survey, that for the first time in history, restaurant and takeout consumption actually passed grocery sales dollars in the US. So these platforms are really high margin and lucrative ones to be involved in, and Amazon is looking to extend their restaurants business in any way they can, and if investment and acquisition is the way they're going to do that, they will. Deliveroo is a really adept platform, so this is a really interesting move from Amazon. Also in Europe, they've looked to extend some of the service offerings they have to local shoppers there. Amazon has a variety of different click and collect models out there for people to make online orders and pick them up either at stores or at their Amazon lockers or at instant pickups on college campuses in the United States. In Europe, they're launching a service that they're actually branding Counter, and it's a pickup service where you can basically go up to a concierge in a number of locations. A clothing apparel retailer and a bookstore retailer in Italy and the UK. The UK deployment is going to be across 500 stores, and basically shoppers will have a new option. Instead of getting their Amazon deliveries to their doorstep, they can go pick up their items. This is really effective for shoppers who perhaps have security concerns, package theft from their doorsteps, or are looking to pick up items on the way home in a more convenient fashion. Also, having a central pickup point for Amazon is a little bit more economically feasible. Last mile is one of the most expensive parts of the fulfillment process here. So Amazon is extending basically their options in terms of fulfillment for shoppers in Europe as well. And in the US, we've actually seen extension of similar programs here. Kohl's reported a somewhat struggling quarter recently, but the big highlight or news item from Kohl's was that they've decided to take their participation in the Amazon Returns program across its entire store network in 2019, well over 1,000 stores. This allows Amazon shoppers to quickly get their items back to Amazon by stopping by a Kohl's store, and they'll pack it up and deliver it to Amazon.com for them. The move for Kohl's here is one of co-opetition, where they're looking to drive traffic to their stores from Amazon shoppers looking to make returns. Having returns aggregated and shipped from a central location takes one of the costly parts of the e-commerce business process, and in terms of returns, it makes it a little bit more economically feasible for Amazon. I think one of the takeaways we're wondering about is, as the retail landscape starts to shift, Certain players invest in omni-channel more effectively than others. Certain ones have the scale to do certain initiatives, certain ones do not. How many retailers out there who are potentially competitors with Amazon opt to involve Amazon in their business model and to do things like drive traffic or acquire new shoppers? I think of Prime Now delivery from competitor grocery stores, for example. So Kohl's has chosen to opt in, and we will be interested to see if this drives the traffic that they're desiring in their stores. And then finally, and I wanted to do this one just to segue into our focus segment of the webcast here, Amazon Go in New York City, a new Amazon Go location is planning to accept cash payments. Amazon with their Go stores face some scrutiny around whether they were equal opportunity to all shoppers out there. For everyone on the line, I'm sure you're familiar with the Amazon Go stores. They have the checkout list convenience technology where they use computer vision, an extensive amount of cameras to allow shoppers to basically scan their devices. Their Amazon accounts go into the system when they enter the store, grab items off the shelves as they see fit, and then simply exit the store where they're charged automatically to their Amazon accounts. The concern here was that underbanked and unbanked individuals, people that don't have Amazon accounts, lower income individuals in most cases, these stores do not provide any access to them. And so this was a concern from regulators and the press. And so Amazon has opted to give the opportunity to those shoppers to be able to check in with the concierge when they enter the store and make cash payments at Amazon Go's. So it'll be interesting to see if it's effective, if it changes the way the kind of the store environment operates, but if Amazon extends that to more stores. But it's a great segue into looking at kind of Amazon's really diverse and wide-ranging store formats and their strategy around brick and mortar. So what we're interested in doing here is really looking at Amazon's overarching brick and mortar strategy, which is relatively new in the past few years and is kind of wide-ranging. They've had major acquisitions, Whole Foods namely being the top one. They've also had many different small test formats, and then also there's a lot of just noise in the environment around rumors of Amazon doing things like launching an extensive range of Amazon Go stores in airports, launching new grocery chains, launching pickup grocery drive formats around the country. It's difficult to tease out what is actually the initiative going forward. But I think Amazon overall has acknowledged in the past few years with their investments here that the future of shopping is omni-channel, and shoppers, especially in certain categories, want to be in physical retail locations in when making their purchase decisions for certain items, and Amazon's looking to meet them there. Also, additionally, by having these physical formats, Amazon can marry your behavior as a shopper both online and offline, giving a really clear and comprehensive picture of you as a shopper and making them a more effective advertiser to you and a more effective retailer overall. And it's a really compelling competitive positioning against other retailers out there who are not as maybe scaled. So first, looking at Amazon overall, and I just wanted to pull some data available to our Retail Insights subscribers via our Retail Market Monitor tool. But to understand that, yes, stores is an increasingly important part of Amazon's overall strategy. In certain categories, it's critical, like grocery, but it's still a relatively small portion of total gross merchandise volume for Amazon, and will be a slower growing, just naturally by the nature of the business model, part of the business going forward. The Whole Foods market acquisition in 2017 really ramped up the portion of sales going to store formats. They have some other formats out there as well, but it is a small portion and obviously not the majority for them long term. But nevertheless, despite the slow growth, the fact that Amazon's invested here means it is important. And then looking specifically at Whole Foods market, which is kind of the key element of this business model, again, pulling some more data from our Retail Market Monitor here, just looking at the store counts and what we project going forward, and I'll get into the store expansion strategy for Whole Foods. Amazon definitely, with their acquisition, is top to bottom trying to figure out the best way to effectively use the Whole Foods stores and extend the Whole Foods brand and store network. One decision they did make was to sunset the 365 by Whole Foods brand kind of test format. These were a little bit more lower price point oriented than your traditional Whole Foods market. Amazon is deciding to end that format and opt to extend the traditional Whole Foods market that is more well known and build out that store network more extensively versus extending 365 by Whole Foods long term. And just what does that extension really mean? I think Whole Foods is serving a really critical part of one aspect of Amazon's business strategy that's extending: Prime Now, rapid delivery of perishables. It was reported earlier this year that Amazon is looking to extend more Whole Foods in locations where they're a little bit underpenetrated. The Rocky Mountain region, for example, was one area that was cited as well. And the idea here is that by having these Whole Foods stores around the country, they can deliver perishables from them using their Prime Now extended network of couriers who can deliver items in under 2 hours. One of the key concerns with perishables, keeping them good for the shopper in their purchase. Prime Now was launched early. It was funny that it was, mostly general merchandise when it first came out, but is been a really, truly, in terms of growth, a success story for Amazon and a huge investment area for them. They've extended it to countless metros across the country. And now with the Whole Foods network and their ability to leverage that as well as basically kind of forward deployed fulfillment centers of perishables and other items, they're able to extend Prime Now even further. So this, I think, is one of the key parts of the Whole Foods strategy going forward. And then also, more importantly, I think one of the key aspects of extending Prime Now going forward as well, and probably one of the bright spots in terms of the Whole Foods integration realistically, as there has been some hiccups in terms of what they're doing in store and truly integrating Whole Foods into the greater Amazon business. But it's not just extending new fulfillment options and attacking online grocery from Whole Foods or click and collect, for example. Amazon, despite closing 365 by Whole Foods, is testing some new formats. They launched, and I actually had this in the webcast a few months ago, a new small format in NYC known as the Whole Foods Market Daily Shop. These small format stores are 2,500 square feet. There is self-checkout available, and it's mostly grab-and-go items for shoppers. And they do have that Whole Foods brand, which is really desirable to certain shoppers in urban areas and really well trusted. And again, this is just a testament to Amazon looking to test and learn with new formats going forward and extend the Whole Foods platform and brand to more parts of the country and in more different ways. They're also testing different services at Whole Foods. They're launching something like Amazon Lockers, but even more convenient to the shopper at limited Whole Foods stores in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the idea here is the difference from the typical lockers with these pickup points. Shoppers can hold their items there for 15 days rather than 3 days. They can do returns with or without the shipping box of Amazon items delivered to their home, much like at Kohl's. And then Prime members receive free same-day delivery to these locations. So there's an incentive to join Prime and pay that annual membership fee because you get access to these points going forward. So they are making some physical integrations of other programs like lockers and pickup points. It'll be interesting to see what they extend going forward here. Excuse me. And then there's still a lot of work going on within Whole Foods in terms of, what is the in-store shopping experience integration there? It was reported that there was some challenges and rationalization occurring of, how much more national brands would be extended into Whole Foods, which has really traditionally been positioned as a kind of upscale organics and small brand grocer. One thing Amazon is doing off the bat is, well-publicized price cuts of certain items, additionally integrating days, sales holiday days like Black Friday, Prime Day in the middle of the summer, things of that sort with advertising in store. One thing they've definitely integrated is giving Prime member exclusive pricing, just trying to reinforce that Prime value prop for shoppers there. So it'll be interesting to see what they continue to do in store, but there continues to be challenges there. The Alexa displays have been removed from many Whole Foods locations. So Amazon looks to continue to see what they can really use this footprint for, outside of some of the successes they've had with things like Prime Now rapid delivery from store. Another key location, and one we think is going to be a driving force going forward, is the Amazon Go stores. So while the technology in beta, the original store in Seattle took a long time, it seems like, to work out, they're now slowly starting to extend the network. I spoke about earlier New York being one location, and some data has emerged via survey from some investment banks out there. RBC reported earlier this year that according to their survey, they estimate that these stores do around 1.5 million per year, these Amazon Go's. They have 50% more revenue than your average convenience store because of that. They're driving about 550 shoppers per day in terms of convenience. Now, these stores are not exactly positioned, as a traditional convenience store might be. They've got a lot of prepared foods, grab-and-go sandwiches. They seem to be more oriented, yes, around that convenience purchase, a lot of those small items that you realize you suddenly need on an impulsive basis, but also to serve meals for the on-the-go urban shopper, which is where most of these Amazon Go's are going to be located. Another key kind of point and something we're watching is whether the technology can be extended to larger box stores. Currently, the amount of cameras, monitoring, and systems involved, and then also the types of packaging that can really work with this system limits them to smaller format stores. We'll be interested to see long term if Amazon can extend this technology to a larger box. Another really innovative business model that is not extended very far outside of a few locations in the Seattle area is the Amazon Fresh Pickup. Prime members and Amazon Fresh members receive benefits or beneficial treatment in terms of the timing they can have to go pick up their items at the store. This store is really innovative with an extensive suite of technology. It recognizes your license plate automatically when you pull up, so you don't have to hit any sort of screens or indicate anything. You pull into a specific bay, and then an Amazon attendant comes out and loads your car for you. These stores are really convenient, and we've wondered if they're going to be extended and tethered to things like Whole Foods stores. At this stage, that's not the case, but again, it's another test format, almost a grocery retail laboratory for Amazon to learn more about their shopper and potentially extend to the rest of their store network going forward. And then two kind of smaller scale, focused on specific silo formats that are actually very similar in a lot of respects. The first is Amazon Books. There's a growing network of bookstores around the country, and these stores are really supposed to be experiential shops where you kind of discover books in a physical environment. It is ironic, and many have considered the idea that Amazon put many bookstores out of business and now is getting into physical retail. But what they do is they have displays that utilize their extensive shopper data, where they'll show a book and say, if you like this item, you'll like this one as well. Prime members also receive exclusive prices on items that match what is available on Amazon.com and are always less than what a non-Prime member has, so reinforcing the Prime value proposition. They use electronic shelf tags to do that. They also promote Amazon devices in store, and they've had some success in learnings from these formats. 4-Star also has similar technology, but the premise there is they sell items that are rated at least 4 stars or above, are top sellers, and they do a lot of curation. So they'll do a lot of displays where they'll show popular items from the neighborhood in which the 4-star is. It's interesting as a format. It very much feels like a test store if you haven't been there. It is the manifestation of what is Amazon.com shopping in terms of just vast, random, general merchandise assortment displayed throughout the store. They have paper displays showing people's real Amazon.com reviews on the items. It is truly about discovery and finding a cool item, and less about kind of a mission-driven trip in terms of what you're looking to do there. And then also, Amazon has had a variety of other, interesting physical format initiatives. Amazon kiosks in the United States are actually being closed down en masse, but they're opening up over 100 in India. These kiosks generally were just kind of marketing displays showing Amazon devices mostly. They were in Whole Foods stores, malls, and Kohl's. Amazon's looked to close their 87 locations across 21 states in the United States. And then also we're interested in what's next. There's rumors of a new grocery chain coming from Amazon that's not going to be Whole Foods branded. We'll see, what this exactly looks like, but I think this could be Amazon coming to the realization that the Whole Foods store and the experience there is going to continue to be a bit upmarket in terms of their locations and the type of items they have. And so they're looking to figure out a way to go after the grocery category in physical formats with perhaps a new kind of branding available. There's only going to be 3 locations by early 2020, but they're also considering acquisitions of grocery trains available out there in the dozens of stores range. So it'll be interesting to see what Amazon does going forward here, but there is rumors of a new grocery chain to come. So for suppliers, what are the considerations of these different formats? I think since all of these different formats, as we've kind of outlined, serve a different purpose for Amazon, you know, the Amazon 4-star and books are kind of test formats. Fresh Pickup is Amazon trying to be as innovative as possible in grocery. Amazon Go seems like a convenience format that they're planning on extending heavily, and Whole Foods is their real foray into attacking grocery and extending the Prime Now delivery network. As there's different kind of engagement patterns for Amazon, suppliers should engage and prioritize and invest in a similar manner. You know, being well positioned in the early test stages of a key Amazon format of the future is only beneficial to you long term if it turns out to be the true success, the true driving force of the future. And you know, coming up to some tangible examples of that, for example, I like the one on the left here. Theo Chocolate, a chocolate brand, did co-branded Amazon Go chocolate and had great end cap distribution in Amazon Go stores. This is an example of early partnership on an innovative technology. And then within the Whole Foods stores, Unilever's acquired Puka Tea brand was able to extend itself with really kind of innovative and engaging displays for shoppers with the Zen Nook in certain Whole Foods stores around the country. This only is beneficial to kind of driving forward the distribution in Whole Foods as Amazon extends that network going forward. So what are our recommendations here as we kind of wrap up? I think being consultative with Amazon, if possible, if you're really a category leader on store-based initiatives, will gain superior positioning long-term. Amazon's legacy as an online retailer means that they are going to test, learn, fail, and invest heavily, most importantly, in this store-based channel, and are going to look to the key national brand partners to help them do this successfully and merchandise in a store environment, which really truly is the legacy of our national brands, and they're really key operating core capacities. So you can be a consultative force there at Amazon, and it will result in superior positioning long term. Also, as these formats continue to roll out, Amazon's proving itself as expected to be one of the most innovative store format developers available. That means that you're going to have to evolve packaging and products alongside some of Amazon's store-based developments. So things like the Amazon Go store and its requirements. So packaging and product is a key consideration as well. And then Amazon is also cross-distributing products across, you know, .com and in-store. At this stage, it's mostly, you know, 365 brands, for example, are getting extended to parts of Europe that there isn't even Whole Foods stores, just because Amazon has that connection. I think that just being in place and working consistently on this relationship also helps brands kind of consistently extend themselves across Amazon in an omni-channel basis. So I know we're right up against time, but I'll answer 2 questions here, and recording will be available as well. I do want to say my email is available here, so if I don't get your question, feel free to reach out there, and we'll be looking up to follow up after the call. We also have a poll question, or we have 4 poll questions available once I conclude the call, so please feel free to fill those out. We really ask for your feedback because it helps us tailor these for you going forward. So looking at our questions, the first one is kind of where do we see kind of the tiering of the Amazon formats going forward? Which ones are the real kind of investments for growth? Which ones are the risks? When I say kind of are the test formats, what does that exactly mean? So, for example, to kind of elaborate on what we were thinking about when we were talking about the 4-star store, because it's not exactly a mission-driven trip, you don't really know what you're going to find there. You're going to go there to discover items that Amazon.com has well reviewed. We don't really see it as an effective retail platform in and of itself going forward, but we see it as a great environment to test initiatives like displaying Amazon reviews in mass, electronic price tags, curation by geographic area. So some of those initiatives within the Amazon 4-star store, we look at that as kind of a retail laboratory, and those initiatives will only be extended across, the Whole Foods network, for example, in mass. It allows them to test in a smaller format. It could also be similarly true for fresh pickup. Amazon may look at the volume and the desirability of the fresh pickup and only adopt certain elements of this high investment, technologically advanced drive format, and only bring certain of those elements to its click and collect offerings at new grocery chains going forward. So the way we're looking at it is some of the smaller test formats are really the investment areas, and then going forward, those are going to lend themselves to the key categories that Amazon is looking to extend larger formats in. We also have a question here: what categories do we view are the kind of the key ones for Amazon going forward in terms of this physical store strategy? So I think it's obvious to everyone, grocery is key. Amazon acknowledges that grocery formats and grocery shoppers, many of which want to be in a physical store environment, but with convenient offerings in store. So we expect to see grocery extended as well, but there's other categories as well that are a little bit experiential. I think some of the larger goods, so things like home furnishings, for example, I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon got involved there. And then additionally, we've seen Amazon test some pop-up formats in fashion particularly. Fashion has been a tough category for Amazon to crack because they've had a hard time getting certain brands to come onto the Amazon platform, and they've invested very, very heavily in extending their own brands there. They launched a network of just pop-up, open for a little while, fashion stores across Europe, understanding that many shoppers looking for apparel want to try things on, touch them, see them in person. So those are a few key categories as well. And I know I said 2 questions, but we'll answer one more. The last one was, do we view Amazon as having some physical store aspirations in Europe? And that's an interesting question. I think Europe is actually one of the areas that Amazon faces the most regulatory scrutiny in terms of their kind of dominance of the retail environment. They've seen regulatory issues on everything from Amazon Dash buttons and the lack of price transparency in Germany to their Monoprix partnership and their ownership of so much shopper data because they're delivering via Prime now from Monoprix stores. So I think what we expect to see Amazon going forward is not any sort of acquisition there, at least at scale, like they did with Whole Foods in the United States, because of some regulatory concerns around antitrust, and instead Amazon continuing to extend their marketplace presence, Prime Now delivery to more metros across Europe to attack the grocery category, and then more tie-ups with retailers who maybe want to do things like returns from Amazon stores like we showed earlier, or Amazon Prime Now delivery. With that, I want to thank everyone for joining the webcast this month. I look forward to hearing from you in future months, and appreciate you joining us today, and we'll see you next time on the Amazon monthly webcast from Edge by Ascential. Thank you.